I still remember the lights in the hall. They were soft, warm, and gentle, just the way Anna wanted. I had spent months planning every detail of her wedding, from the flowers on the tables to the band playing her favorite songs. Seeing her walk around the room with a bright smile made every late night, every bill, and every sacrifice worth it. She looked so happy that my heart felt full. I was standing near the entrance, greeting guests as they walked in. Many of them didn't even know I was the one who paid for almost everything. I didn't mind. I didn't do it for praise. I only wanted my daughter's day to be perfect. When I saw Ethan walking toward me, I tried to smile. He was dressed sharply in a white suit, hair slicked back like someone who belonged in a magazine. Behind him walked his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Collins, their clothes shining like they came from a royal family. They carried themselves with a confidence that made everyone step aside. Ethan reached me first. "Dad, come on," he said, grabbing my arm lightly. "You need to meet my folks properly." Before I could greet them politely, Ethan spoke again, but this time with a loud laugh and a voice full of arrogance. "Hey, Mum, Dad, this is the old pig we have to put up with today." His parents burst out laughing, loud enough for the guests near us to hear. It felt like a slap. For a moment, I wasn't sure if I heard him right. I stood still, my heart thumping in my chest. I tried to hide the pain in my face, telling myself not to ruin Anna's special day. She trusted him. She believed he was kind. I forced a small smile, even though my throat was tight. "Nice to meet you," I said calmly. Mrs. Collins barely looked at me. "Oh, Ethan," she giggled, waving her hand. "You and your jokes." Mr. Collins smiled too, but as he looked at me, his smile slowly faded. His eyes narrowed as if he was trying to remember something. He took a step closer, staring straight at my face. "Wait," he whispered. "Wait a moment." He blinked again. His mouth dropped slightly. Aren't you the new director at Stonebridge Construction?" I nodded gently. "Yes, I'm starting officially on Monday." The entire atmosphere shifted in a second. Mrs. Collins's laugh died in her throat. Ethan stopped smiling. The air felt heavy. It was the kind of silence that grabs everyone around and squeezes them still. Mr. Collins' face turned pale. You're Mr. Harris?" "Yes," I answered again, keeping my voice steady. People nearby started turning to look. Even the music from the band seemed to feel quieter for a moment. My hands were calm at my sides, but inside I felt something deep, something quiet and strong. Not anger, not revenge, just a sense of truth finally showing itself. I stood there quietly as their faces changed from pride to fear to shame. And that was the moment everything in that hall shifted, even though no one said another word. Long before the wedding hall, the flowers, the music, and the shame on Ethan's parents' faces, there was just me and my daughter, Anna, living in our small but warm home. It was a home filled with laughter, late-night talks, and years of promises I made to her. Promises that she would never lack love, no matter who walked in or out of our lives. After her mother passed away, Anna became my whole world. She was only 13, scared and confused, and I had to become both her father and her mother. I cooked her meals badly at first, braided her hair, which always came out crooked, and sat through every school event, whether she won or lost. We built a bond so strong that sometimes just looking at her made me proud enough to forget how tired I was. By the time she finished college and started her first job, I felt like I had done something right in my life. She was smart, gentle, and had a heart that believed too easily. And then she met Ethan. I remember the first day she brought him home. He walked into my living room with expensive shoes and a charming smile that looked almost rehearsed. He shook my hand like he was greeting a camera, not a person. "Nice place, sir," he said, looking around like he was checking the price of everything. Anna's eyes glowed with excitement, as if she had brought home a treasure. "Dad, isn't he great?" she whispered later. I didn't want to break her heart, so I said nothing. But from that first day, I saw the signs. Small signs at first, the kind you can ignore if you want to. Like how he talked too loudly about his connections, or how he always made jokes that sounded more like insults wrapped in sugar. He once told me, "You remind me of the hard-working characters in old movies, the ones who try their best but never get rich." He said it with a laugh, like it was meant to be funny. I didn't laugh. Then there were his parents. The Collins family lived in a mansion big enough to hide 3 families inside. They drove cars that made people stare. They acted polite on the outside, but their eyes always scanned people from top to bottom, like they were judging if someone was worth their time. Still, Anna loved Ethan, and that mattered to me more than my own feelings. When they announced their engagement, she hugged me tight and cried in my arms. "Dad, I want a beautiful wedding, the kind Mum would have loved." I didn't even let her finish. "Don't worry," I told her. "I'll handle everything." From that moment, I put my whole heart into planning her wedding. I met with decorators, caterers, photographers. I paid every bill without ever telling Anna the true amount. She didn't need that weight. A daughter's wedding should be filled with joy, not numbers. Ethan and his parents showed little interest in planning. They always came late to meetings, complained about minor things, and never offered a cent. "It's fine," I kept telling myself. "It's for Anna." On the morning of the wedding, Anna hugged me tightly. "You're the best dad," she whispered. For a moment, everything felt perfect. For a moment, I believed the day would be smooth. But perfection never lasts long around people who see kindness as weakness. And as I stood in that hall watching Ethan and his parents show off their wealth, I couldn't shake the strange feeling in my chest. Something was coming. I didn't know what yet, but the air felt different. If only I had listened to that feeling earlier. The wedding hall looked beautiful, but the people inside it told a different story. As guests arrived, I noticed how the Collins family walked around the place as if they owned it. They didn't help with anything. They didn't greet anyone warmly. They simply floated from one group to another, smiling only when they felt someone was important enough. Mrs. Collins stood near the dessert table, pointing at the cakes. "These look simple," she said with a small frown. "I hope they taste better than they look." A few guests pretended not to hear, but I saw the caterer's face fall. I walked over gently and thanked him for his hard work. He smiled at me, though his eyes looked hurt. This was the pattern with the Collins family, breaking people down quietly while pretending to be polite. Ethan wasn't any different. Throughout the afternoon, he moved from place to place, bragging about everything except the truth. "My family paid for the decorations," I heard him say once. "My parents chose the band," he told another group. "We're the ones who upgraded the hall," he said loudly. All lies. Every single thing had come from my pocket, but I stayed silent. I didn't want to embarrass Anna. I kept reminding myself that I wasn't here for myself. I was here for her. Still, the disrespect grew little by little. At one point, Ethan walked over to me with a fake smile. "Hey, you should sit down," he said. "Don't walk around too much. People might think you're one of the workers." He said it like a joke, but jokes reveal the truth in a person's heart. I looked at him quietly. "I'm fine, Ethan." He shrugged and walked off, laughing with 2 of his friends who clearly thought they were better than everyone else. I watched him from a distance and wondered how my daughter fell in love with someone like that. I wondered if she saw something I didn't. Or maybe she saw the version of him he only showed to her soft words, warm eyes, gentle promises. But those promises didn't show up today. As the ceremony time grew closer, Ethan's parents became bolder in their behavior. They began talking loudly about their businesses, about their vacations, about luxury hotels they stayed in. They spoke as if they were performing for the audience. At one point, Mrs. Collins leaned close to a group of women and said, "It's a shame this wedding couldn't look more high class. But we do what we can." I felt my jaw tighten. I knew the truth. If I hadn't paid, this wedding wouldn't even have flowers on the table. But I kept calm. Anna was getting ready in her room upstairs. Every few minutes, I imagined her smiling, adjusting her dress, feeling like a queen. That picture kept my heart soft. It kept me from reacting. Later, I saw Mr. Collins stepping aside to answer calls, speaking loudly about business deals. He kept saying, "I'll speak to the new director on Monday. He follows my schedule now." He didn't know the truth. Not yet. While all this was happening, the guests began to notice the Collins family's attitude. I saw quiet whispers, raised eyebrows, and slow shakes of the head. The only people unaware of the storm building were Anna and Ethan. As the wedding hour approached, I stood near the main doors, watching everything unfold. The laughter, the bragging, the looks of superiority, the disrespect wrapped in shiny clothes. Something inside me shifted. Not anger, just clarity. These people didn't come here to celebrate love. They came to show off their wealth. And soon they were going to learn something unexpected, something none of them were ready for, something that would change their expressions in a way I would never forget. The hall was glowing with soft lights when one of the planners came to tell me it was almost time for the couple's entrance. Guests were finding their seats, taking pictures, and enjoying the music. Everything looked perfect on the surface. If a stranger walked in, they would think this was a peaceful day, filled with joy. But I'd been watching Ethan and his parents long enough to know that their smiles were masks. Under those masks lived pride, disrespect, and a belief that money made them better than others. I stood near the decorated archway, checking one last detail before Anna and Ethan walked in together. I was proud of how everything looked, every flower placed right, every light shining softly. I had done all of it for my daughter. Then I saw Ethan walking toward me again, this time with a bigger smile than usual. He seemed excited, but not in the way a groom should be. It was the excitement of someone who loved being the center of attention. Behind him were his parents, dressed in their sparkling clothes, strolling like royalty arriving at a palace. They didn't look around the hall with appreciation. They looked around as if they were searching for faults to complain about later. "Dad," Ethan called out loudly, waving his hand. "You're still standing here?" I smiled politely, just checking things. "Oh, relax," he said, laughing. "You worry too much. Come meet my parents properly." I had already greeted them earlier, but I followed him anyway. I didn't want to cause any scene. My only aim was to keep the peace until Anna walked in. We stopped near the center of the hall where his parents were waiting. Several guests stood nearby, chatting, sipping drinks, and taking photos. Ethan placed a hand on my shoulder and said something I will never forget. "Mum, Dad, here he is. This is the old pig we have to put up with today." Laughter exploded from the two people who were supposed to be welcoming me into their family. Mrs. Collins laughed, with her hand covering her mouth. Mr. Collins laughed like he had heard the best joke of his life. And Ethan looked proudly at them, as if he had said something clever. For a second, the room spun. I felt a sharp sting in my chest, not from the words themselves, but from the fact that he said them at my daughter's wedding, a day meant for love and unity, a day I had built with my own hands. I didn't react. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even frown. I simply stood with a calmness that surprised even me. Years of life had taught me something valuable. Dignity doesn't shake when insulted by foolishness. I looked at Ethan. That was unnecessary, I said quietly. He shrugged. Relax. It's just a joke. They know I'm kidding. But the look on their faces told another story. It wasn't a joke to them. It was how they truly saw me. Before I could say another word, something changed. Mr. Collins' laughter slowly faded. His eyes narrowed, focusing on my face as if he had seen me somewhere before. He stepped closer, squinting, his expression tense. Wait, he said softly. I know you. I said nothing. I simply met his eyes. You're Harris? His voice cracked. Yes, I answered calmly. His breath caught. His face turned pale. You're the new director at Stonebridge Construction? I am. Silence spread like a wave. Mrs. Collins stopped smiling completely. Ethan's grin disappeared. Guests nearby turned their heads, sensing something was wrong. Mr. Collins swallowed hard. I had no idea. He didn't finish the sentence. He couldn't. Because in that moment, everything they had pretended to be fell apart. Their pride, their laughter, their confidence. It all disappeared the second they realized the man they mocked was the one they needed the most. The silence that followed was so heavy that even the music in the hall seemed to soften itself. People nearby shifted uncomfortably, pretending not to stare, but their eyes kept drifting back to us. The Collins family stood frozen, their proud posture melting little by little. I looked at Mr. Collins closely. His face had drained of colour, and sweat formed around his hairline. Hours earlier, he had been strutting around, telling people how he was the one running things. Now he looked like a man who had just realized he had stepped into a deep hole he dug himself. He tried to speak. Mr. Harris, I didn't know. You didn't need to know, I said softly. Respect shouldn't depend on titles. Mrs. Collins lowered her head. For the first time since I met her, she had nothing sharp to say. She tried to give a nervous smile, the kind that breaks at the corners. We didn't mean any harm, she whispered. I didn't respond. I wasn't angry. I was simply tired. Tired of being treated like a burden at the very wedding I paid for. Then Ethan stepped forward, trying to keep his voice steady. Come on, Dad. Seriously? You're making it look like a big deal. We were just joking. Why are you acting like this? His words were the final piece I needed to understand something important. My daughter was about to marry a man who didn't know the meaning of respect. Not for me, not for her, not for anyone. Before I could reply, Anna appeared behind us. She looked like a dream in her wedding gown, bright eyes, soft smile, everything a father hopes to see. But the moment she noticed everyone's faces, her smile faded. Dad, she asked softly, what's going on? Ethan turned to her quickly. Nothing serious, babe. Dad is just being sensitive about a tiny joke. I watched Anna's expression change, slowly, carefully, like someone trying to solve a puzzle. A joke, she repeated, looking at me. Dad, what did he say? I didn't want to hurt her, not on her wedding day. But Ethan spoke before I could decide. Oh, come on, Anna, he said, rolling his eyes. I just introduced him as the old pig we have to put up with. It's not that deep. The whole hall reacted at once. A gasp here, a murmur there. Someone dropped a glass. Anna's face went pale. You called my father. What? She whispered. Ethan tried to laugh it off again, but Anna stepped back from him. Her hands shook, and tears formed in her eyes, not the happy kind. You made fun of him? After everything he did for us? Her voice cracked. Ethan tried to touch her arm, but Anna pulled away so fast he froze. She glanced at the tables, the decorations, the lights, the band, everything her father had paid for, everything done out of love. Her next words cut deeper than any insult. Ethan, who are you really? He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Then something unexpected happened. Mr. Collins stepped forward toward his own son. His voice was low, shaking with shame. Ethan, you have embarrassed this family. He glanced at me. And you have disrespected a man you should have honored. Ethan stared at him like he had been slapped. Mrs. Collins spoke next, her voice trembling. Anna, sweetheart, we are so sorry, truly sorry. The twist came from the last person I expected. Anna turned to me and said, Dad, I can't marry someone who thinks this way. Her voice was soft but firm, and for the first time that day, I saw clarity in her eyes. Ethan panicked. Anna, wait, I didn't mean... But she wasn't listening anymore. She walked to me, took my arm gently, and whispered, You always told me to choose love, but also respect. I understand now. I didn't speak. I simply held her hand, letting her lean on me. Around us, the Collins family looked broken, not because of business or reputation, but because their true selves had finally been exposed. The room wasn't silent anymore. It was honest, and for the first time that day, the wedding felt real. After that moment, I realized a wedding isn't about money or fancy decorations, it's about respect and honesty. Anna finally saw the truth about Ethan and his parents. Ethan's family left quietly, pride shattered. My daughter turned to me, eyes full of relief, and I hugged her gently, proud she understood what truly matters. The guests cheered, not for the decorations, but for courage and truth standing strong. That day taught me patience, kindness, and dignity are more powerful than arrogance. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting revenge stories.